Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
It's your girl, Lindsay Does It.
And it's Hazel Joy.
And this is the
Millennials Podcast.
Today's going to be a really special episode.
It really is. We're so excited. We have a very special guest today. My good friend, John, a financial planner.
Yay.
What's up, everyone?
As you know, we're going to have, saying that he's a financial planner, we're going to be talking about money.
Money.
Money. And we're going to do the shmoney dance. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so some backstory of how we met. It was years ago. Let's not date ourselves of how far ago that was. But no, I was working at Haagen-Dazs in downtown Disney, and I was working the ice cream stand outside, the little walkway. And next to the ice cream booth was your booth, and you were selling credit cards.
Yeah, Disney credit cards.
Disney credit cards. So that's how we met. And so it's actually been years since we caught up with each other.
Decade.
That's
wow.
Literally, that is so crazy. But I'm so glad that you saw that we had the millennials, and then you reached out and like, hey, let me get on the show. And I just loved that idea. One, because we do want to talk about finances, and two, you're Filipino, and how much more appropriate is that for someone to come on the show to just talk money with us and just shed light to our audience and to us, all the money things. So yeah, I guess you want to just start with your background in finance and how long you've been doing that. And
yeah, I started in 2007, so a little bit after when we met, and I've been in it ever since, so 15 plus years.
Dang.
And I know I look 21, so I started when I was 6.
Asians don't raise
But yeah, it's been a journey. I went to Cal State Long Beach, majored in finance, went to UCLA, did finance there too. And then most recently, I actually taught a class in finance at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, wow.
As a guest lecturer, yeah. And so I'm a certified financial planner, and that's the highest designation in my industry.
Wow.
And yeah, we can talk about money, relationship with money, anything you guys want.
So why did you get into finance? Like, was that something you've always been interested since you were younger?
That's a really great question. My background with finance is really rough, like I think most people. I grew up with a family of 5, so 3 siblings, me, my brother and sister, and then my dad. He was the only worker, and then my mom raised us. So we had one income. My dad's a mechanic for the post office. And like all families, we go through all the struggles about money and balancing family stuff. And it's just really like seeing my mom and my dad like really support a whole family off of one income really motivated me. But one thing really is that they never saved for my college. And that was really tough on me, because I was extremely bright and I really wanted to go to like big universities. I just couldn't because we didn't have the money. And so I paid my way through college, Cal State Fullerton, and I said, I really need to dedicate my life to helping other families make better financial decisions.
And college time, I would say generally is rough, because you're kind of that student, that struggling student. Like, you're like working part-time, but you got to focus on your studies. So I remember it being really tough for me as well. But yeah, so I feel like I do want to touch a lot also on the relationship between the Filipino culture and finances, because at least I know from my experiences, it kind of has always been a bit taboo to talk about, and just very it's a scary topic. I'm not gonna lie, the money conversation does scare me, but I'm also not afraid to have it. But I know that for me personally, a lot of emotions are kind of tied into it as well. And my cousin-in-law actually is he's the one I filed taxes with, and he's Filipino, and I just know every year I go to him and I'm like damn near crying. It feels like a therapy session. So I'm sure that happens a lot with your clients, and making it feel like a therapy session.
Well, let me ask you a few questions. Why do you feel that money is emotional?
That's a good. We're gonna get straight to it now, huh? This early in the show. Okay, let's do it.
It's not just questions about me. It's about you guys, right?
Yeah. No, I think I didn't have the best financial education when it came to, because let's be honest, in school they didn't really teach you that stuff. So where are you going to learn that? From your parents, from your family. And the way that I perceived it growing up was because I was always a straight A student, honor roll. So it was, I worked hard and my dad would be like, you get this reward. You know, my mom and dad would like, you can, I'll buy you this. And so for me, it was always, I earned it. Like, that's what I pictured it. Like, and then I would get like allowance because, you know, I earned it. You know, I got that A, blah, blah, blah. But as far as like literacy, financial literacy, I did not have any guidance as to this is how you pay off a credit card. This is how you save for a house. There was no conversation. So it was pretty much non-existent. So I think for me, emotionally, it was because it always felt like growing up, it was a struggle. It was kind of always survival mode from my parents because they did separate and divorce. So then I was with being the oldest of 3 and a single mom. It's just watching her, you know, strive. And so I think that's why it was emotional. It was always like, you know, we'll get it next time. Like, oh, I can't get it for you this time. And then once I did get that job at 16 years old, where we met, I was like, oh, I had money. So I'm like, okay, but it was what did I do with that? You know, spend, go shopping every paycheck, you know? So I hope that answers your question as far as like being emotional, just because I always saw my parents struggle. Mm-hmm. And so that struggle kind of like, ooh, like it wasn't really talked about. And I hope to break that like, what is it? I don't know. Is it called curse? Generational curse? Like
generational
trauma. Yeah. So I hope to break that for my kids and be able to talk to them about it and teach them. So, which is, I know we're going to get into with you because I know you have 3 kids and you also named your company after your daughters.
Yeah.
Right?
So my company is called Layari Financial. It's named after my 2 daughters, Layla and Arya. And I combined the names, so Layari.
That's so cute.
Yeah. They're the backbone of my company. And as Filipinos, right, our heritage is extremely like family focused. Right? And talking about my family, because I'm going to share a lot, because I think other people can relate. There was no, negative feedback to my parents because they came to America when they were 16 years old from the Philippines. They had nothing, and they really had to work hard. So that's why they tell us to work hard, right? Mm-hmm. And then they say, save, because that's what they had to do, because they had to survive. In America with nothing, they have to learn all these money lessons, and that's one of the main reasons why we didn't learn those money lessons, because they couldn't teach it to us, because they were just learning themselves.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. Wow.
That makes a lot of sense, because I do remember a story of my mom telling me that no one really taught them either, because she said that there was a time where like they were just opening up credit cards and then not realizing like how to deal with that, and so then like having to file for bankruptcy and things like that. So it was just kind of like, how can they teach us when they're, like you said, they're barely trying to figure it out? And then it's just like, it's just so much to take in. And then it kind of sucks because also I feel like, do you think millennials are kind of the generation that's really dealing with that struggle when it comes to finances? Because what the boomers and Gen X, like, do they have it a lot better than the millennials? And then as the market, gets kind of crazy, it just sucks for us, basically.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about what we've gone through as millennials throughout the time that we've been going, like the recession, mm-hmm. COVID, mm-hmm. right? All these things, the housing burst, all this stuff is like, we feel it. Mm-hmm. And now, as millennials, most of millennials are like, how can we afford this house? Housing prices are so high.
Right.
We can barely save for a down payment.
Exactly.
Right? So there's a lot of things happening in our economic environment that is affecting us as millennials.
How about you guys? I'm curious to know, like, more about your childhood and growing up and how you guys perceived money, like, as a kid and maybe even to now, too.
Well, with me, I felt like with money, it's always kind of been a hush-hush topic in our household. So I'm an only child, and so it's just basically me, my mom and my dad, and my grandmother for a long time lived with us. And yeah, money was very much a hush-hush kind of topic. No one talked about how much anyone made. No one talked about how much was in, my parents' savings account.
Why do you think that?
You know what? That's a really interesting question. Now I'm trying to think about like my parents' mindset. They both came from large families, a lot of siblings. Again, they were first generation. Well, I'm first generation American. They migrated here. So I think keeping your money private in their minds probably ensure the money will not disappear or no one will try to take it from them, I think. It's really strange. And during the 90s, while you guys were talking about growing up, I remember in the 90s, my dad got laid off a lot. The economy was terrible. But as a kid, he would tell me he was on vacation. He wasn't out of a job. He was on vacation for months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even with that, I think there is a little bit of that shame where it's like, I'm not working, but I don't want to tell my own daughter or my own siblings that I'm without a job because it's shameful. So, and maybe that might also be a reason why he wanted to keep his money private, because he's only working so much in the 90s that whatever money he has, he wants to keep. He doesn't want to, because earlier, before we started recording, we were talking about scarcity, coming from a third world country to here. Nothing is given to you. You have to work hard for it. And who knows, it could be taken away from you at the blink of an eye. So whatever you have, you want to keep and hold very tight. So yeah, I mean, I think that's where like the whole like me believing that the money I make has to be a secret, I think it came from my upbringing, yeah. Like seeing how my parents' attitude towards money was. Yeah.
Another thing about money is perception about money, right? So how people perceive you on how much money you have will potentially determine status. Right?
Judgment.
And judgment.
Oh, yeah.
And like if you don't have a lot of money, you're looked down upon. But if you have a lot of money, people look up to you. What is that about?
Yeah, that's
Right?
Right.
that's interesting. I would say like just talking about my parents, they were very. My mom, she's like very stylish, right? But my dad, he looked like he lived very meagerly. He would never throw away a pair of pants, no matter how many holes are in them. He'll never throw away a shirt, no matter how many stains are on him. But every now and then, he would treat himself to a Rolex. So that was his thing. He loved his watches, but he would only take them out on very special occasions. He would wear a Rolex with like some faded cargo pants and like a plaid shirt that's missing a button. It was for me, seeing him like that, it was a very strange like duality, because it's like, I know you want to flaunt what you got, but you actually don't. Like, it's so hard for me to like
It's like
pinpoint.
humble, humble brag.
So it's like he doesn't want to show off because he felt a way about show offs. So he didn't want to be that. But at the same time, he didn't want to look like someone that would be pitied. It's like, you know what? I'm not poor. I just choose to live very modestly.
It's interesting. I feel like there's so many different actually toxic things about our culture that sucks. And one of the things that came to mind was in our immediate family, like it's almost kind of a hush hush to talk about, but also it's very like gossipy,
Dude,
like
they
with
talk
other
chismes.
family. Yeah, chismes
for real?
with other
Yeah.
families. And
The
it
aunties.
sucks. Yep.
With their handbags.
Yeah, and just the
Because
fact
they
that they
flossing,
and they ask
right?
you, yeah,
handbags.
especially like you see that
You know
at
what I mean?
church, like with the little Louis and like, you know, you don't need a big old bag.
No, you don't.
Because it's a perception. right?
Exactly.
People, they want to perceive that they're doing well,
Yeah,
that they're making a lot of money, when actuality, you have to lift up under the hood, and maybe they're in credit card debt because they bought that.
so true. But also, like, do you think that's because they did come from nothing and then now they got the money and they're like, I can spend on this, and you know what, I'm gonna show it off, you know?
Exactly.
But that whole like chismes thing kind of just, it's just like sucks. And the
For
fact that they
sure.
ask you straight up too, the tita is like, oh, how much is this? How much is rent? Or like, I know some people in family that I'm just like, oh, I roll. Like, I don't really care how much you spent on that, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, if I was there listening to someone ask you how much your ring cost, coming from me, I'm like, keep it private. That's nobody's business. Shut up.
But also, I know me personally, I'm not one to like be shy about being open about that, you know. And another thing that came to mind was in the workplace, people don't really like to talk about how much they're
much they
making,
make.
and it's like kind of a taboo thing to ask your coworkers, and especially if you're kind of at an equal level position. I mean, where did that come from? Do you guys think it's just kind of a
It's like
unspoken
who's better?
thing?
Who's better? You're making more than me,
Yeah,
but we're doing the same thing. Are you better than me?
yeah.
You know?
I always thought that you weren't supposed to talk about money amongst your coworkers. Like, I thought that was supposed to, but maybe that was just something that I was told and I just ran with it because yeah, again, I just was raised thinking like money is private. But I think if you were transparent with your coworkers, then you would be able to point out like the inequalities maybe in the
Yeah.
workplace. So it would be good to be transparent about your money, I guess. But I always thought, I mean, anybody out there where you guys ever taught that you're not supposed to talk about your wage with your coworker? I don't know. I just always thought it was a thing, maybe at one point, but
I thought so too. But then I mean, like, I've had open conversations, and then I've seen it happen where it was like, hey, like, they would raise questions, or like people started wondering, and then it kind of went to, you know, they took it to the higher ups. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so there's just so many things to dive into finances. I would say, John, what do you think is the biggest common like issue that your clients come to you with?
Not necessarily issues. Okay, so I work with Henrys. Have you ever heard of that acronym?
No.
HENRYS. High earners, not rich yet. So they make a lot of money, 200, 300, whatever it may be, but they spend it all.
Ooh.
Because we live in LA,
Cost of living.
inflation,
Oh, yeah.
cost of living. We love to travel as millennials. We love to eat as millennials. And you can't get out the door without spending $50 on food,
that's facts.
right?
Yeah.
And so they make a lot of money, but where does it go?
Right.
No one has taught them to save, invest, emergency funds, max out 401k, blah, 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 blah. So that's, I guess, the issue, if that's an issue, but like understanding and organizing the money and then creating a plan for it.
So I kind of want to get into like your clientele. Like, what is the demographic that come seek financial help?
Yeah, I work with millennials, so age 30s and 40-year-olds. I'm very different in terms of my industry. My industry is made up of 50-year-old white males traditionally, and they work with retirees because baby boomers are one of the biggest generations, right? But the second biggest now is us, millennials. And what's going to happen is when the baby boomers pass away, who gets all the money? We do. We inherit it, right?
Right.
And we call that the silver tsunami.
Ooh.
Silver hair, transferring it to us. And if we don't have the foundation, we're going to spend it all, right? And so I focus on the millennials, the 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds that don't know a lot about money, but they are wanting to. The Henrys as well. I have a lot of clients that are female. The majority of my clients are female. And across the United States, so Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, Orange County. Yeah.
Wow. Why do you think so many women are looking for financial help in comparison to their male counterparts?
I feel like there absolutely is a women's movement. Traditionally, male handles the money, female uses the money to support the household. That's what happened to my family. My dad made all the money. My mom budgeted, used coupons, bought the groceries, this and that, right? So I feel like more women are wanting to increase their financial literacy and not depend on the man for all the decision making.
I like that. I support that. That's true. I mean, you think about like feminism versus old-fashioned way of living, old-fashioned gender roles. And yeah, a lot of us need to learn how to do everything ourselves in the case that, for example, my mom, she's a widow. So she kind of had to figure out how to continue living without my dad. They were always equal in my eyes, but I do see relationships where it's very lopsided, where the man makes is the breadwinner, the woman is, domestic goddess, so I believe that, yes, we should start learning how to take care of ourselves in all aspects. Same with men. Like, we're not here to talk about not money, but like there's men that are seeking a partner that will do everything but make the money. But you should learn how to cook. You should learn how to take care of your kids. You should learn, you should go to the PTA meetings. You should talk to the teachers. You know what I mean? So I think in general, it's great to see everyone breaking the gender roles and just learning how to be an adult And I think that's kind of where my like money shame kind of comes from, because I don't feel like a grown up when it comes to money. I feel like a little kid that's still learning how to save or learning how to portion money to pay off my credit cards. So yeah, enough about me. So speaking of paying off credit cards, have you seen this Netflix show called How to Get Rich?
I've seen maybe 1 or 2 episodes. Yeah, I've heard of it for sure.
Yes, so How to Get Rich, I believe it's a financial planner who helps different couples and individuals with how to get rich, aka how to stop spending so frivolously. And I haven't watched every episode, but I do remember a couple that had some, I guess, significant credit card debt. He asked them, okay, how much debt are you on this credit card? They said $6,000. He goes, can you pay that off soon? They're like, yeah, I'm able to pay it off. Can you pay it off tomorrow? Yeah. Okay, do that. And I'm over here like, wait, is it that easy? Like, when I saw that, I'm like, I can't just do that. You know what I mean? Do these people really need that advice if they have the money to quickly pay a credit card off like that? So hearing that story, hearing that tidbit, like, do you think that's sound advice to just take the money that you have in your checking and savings account to pay off one credit card in full?
Yeah, what's crazy is that financial planning is very customized, very tailored. So we call these people finfluencers, financial influencers. I'm sure you guys, follow them. They give you a blanket recommendation because they're casting a wide net. Not necessarily it may pertain to your situation because they don't know you. Right? Working with a certified financial planner, they understand your situation. We can take an x-ray of your personal situation, right? And tailor the recommendations only to you. No blanket recommendations, okay? So paying off your credit card debt versus having money in the bank for a rainy day, that's a decision to make. Let's just say you have $10,000 in the bank, your credit card is $8,000. Are you gonna use all this money to pay off the credit card? What if you get in a car accident and now you have no money, right? And then you're gonna use your credit card again and it's gonna be interest and blah, blah, blah. So every situation depends. And just like going to the doctors, right? They ask for your blood pressure, your weight, your height, your symptoms before they prescribe medicine. Take your x-ray. Same thing with financial planning. I have to know everything about you, what you value, what wealth means to you, what does rich mean to you, and then give advice.
Yeah, no wonder I was so shocked, because I'm like, never could I see myself doing that. But then again, I'm not them and they're not me. So I'm glad to have your perspective on that, because it's true. As like a viewer, it's just like, I was watching something, I felt like it was scripted almost. I'm like, this can't be sound advice. But if it worked for that couple, then so be it. So, awesome.
And then we see ourselves in other people, right? And we're like, okay, maybe I'm like them, but you don't actually know.
Right.
That's true. Okay, so switching it up a little bit on, I kind of wanted to touch on savings. So what's your thought on like envelope cash stuffing versus digital saving and kind of just transferring funds? Like, for example, have you heard of the Acorns kind of? Yeah. So like, I guess that's an example of like moving your money to different, digitally. What are your thoughts on cash versus digital?
So cash under the bed, envelope method, right? That money doesn't make money. Okay, so it's cash. And with inflation being 6%, it's actually losing money because it's not keeping up with purchasing power. Because, inflation is a pack of gum 10 years ago doesn't cost the same as today.
Right.
That's inflation. So having cash under the bed or an envelope or wherever, it's just losing money. Now with digital, having high yield savings accounts, bank accounts, stuff like that, they earn money. And how they earn money is that you put money in it, the bank takes it and invests it, and they make money to pay you your money, but they earn a lot more.
So that's how that works. I never understood why my B of A was only earning like 0.04% interest, where I go to PNC Bank and they're like, 4.67% yearly interest. And I'm like, why is there such a big difference? I almost thought it was a scam when I saw that ad in my emails or whatever. I'm like, this can't be right, because I've been with Bank of America since I was a teenager, and my money has only grown like not even pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
For 2 decades.
Yep.
And then I moved my money to PNC Bank, and after a month, I have another $30 in my account. Like how?
Mm-hmm.
So that. All right. Thank you for explaining that. Wow. Good question.
For someone who, and then, okay, kind of flipping it again to another topic, for some people who are interested in investing but have no idea where to start, what's your advice on that, and where do you start?
It all depends, right? Everything all depends. So it's kind of like a pyramid. There's a foundation you have to build first. One is emergency funds, right? 3 to 6 months of living expenses. So look internally again and see how much it actually costs to live like Hazel and Lindsay. Is it $5,000? Is it $10,000? Be honest with yourself. How much do you spend, right? And then times that by 3 to 6 months. So it takes me $5,000 to live every single month, my mortgage, car payment, blah, blah, blah. Times that by 3, $15K to $30K I should have in the bank at all times. God forbid we lose our job and it takes us 3 to 6 months to get a new job, we have that cushion where we don't have to spend money. Okay, so emergency funds first, and then we talk about investing, and then paying off debt first, second, and then investing. So it's kind of like a hierarchy of needs.
Got it.
Emergency fund,
Emergency
paying
fund.
off debt,
Investing.
Investing.
Okay, so now let's switch gears again to shaving off debt. So that's probably the number one thing for a lot of people, including myself.
Yes.
What advice can you give for like the most effective way to get rid of debt or like minimize it?
Yeah. So again, we have to look inside and we figure out why that debt has even occurred. What does that mean? It means that you're spending more than you make. And that's why we have to borrow from credit cards with a 20% interest rate.
Ooh.
And we can never get out of there because we pay the minimum or whatever it is. The interest is X amount and a little bit left goes to principal. That's why it never goes down, right? And it's hard. But in order to pay off that debt faster or whatever your goal is, to save interest, pay it faster, whatever it is, you have to look internally and seeing how much does it cost for you to live. If you can save a little bit, then you can pay off the debt faster, right? And that's called tightening the belt. You kind of have to make lifestyle changes.
I have a really loose belt, so I gotta like really take that advice. I love to travel. Hazel knows this. Whenever we every week when we record and we do a little catch-up segment, I'm going somewhere. I'm trying a new restaurant, and I'm living for the moment. But yeah, spending so much in one moment and then having to pay it off months and years for the rest of your life. It's like, all right,
it's not worth it,
I gotta
right?
keep it real. I gotta keep it real. You say look inside, I say I gotta keep it real.
Yeah. I'm a foodie. I'm a big foodie, right? But I cannot be spending $50 at McDonald's or $100 at Yoshinoya or whatever it is. I'm just gonna make that by myself, right? I have 3 kids, right? And so I have to cook at home to save money.
Cost effective.
And plus, it's more beneficial for your health, nutritious.
Absolutely.
Right.
We were just talking about how Filipinos are judgmental.
I'm judging myself.
I'm going to say something judgmental. I see my coworkers every day getting food, like buying fast food or getting lunch outside.
Like, how are you doing that?
Yeah, spending $15 to $20 probably a day, and who knows where they're going for dinner. So I'm over here like, judging them like, how are you comfortable with like eating Taco Bell, McDonald's? I'm kidding. I love you guys. But like in my head, I'm like, I can't do that. It's just, it kind of pains me to like give money away every day.
Now, what are your thoughts on girl math?
I
don't want your opinion on that. Actually, never mind. I take that question back.
I had a friend on Instagram where she was like, girl math is me saying that I'm actually saving money when I buy a Disney pass.
Yeah, because
Because you're saving money. Okay.
Exactly. Or have you seen those viral videos or when they like step out the door of their house and then they like the cost of like everything like
just
they
starts to
add up and then they like step their foot back in the house and then it goes back to like zero or whatever and then they're like okay, I'm staying in the house.
That's really what it feels like. And
Yeah.
there's another meme where it's like, my toxic trait is every time I go to the mall, I have to buy myself a coffee.
Exactly. That's every time I step out the house.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
gosh.
But yes, I will definitely take that advice. Look within
Yeah.
and see where I can pull back, where I can have self-control.
The whole thing about financial planning and where we start is your goals, right? And what's important to you. So if your coworker spends a lot of money on eating out, well, we know that his priorities are eating out. And that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Spend money where it's important for you. Totally fine. I have clients that love to travel. I said, okay, so how much do you want to spend on travel this year? 10, 20K? I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Do it. I'm not like a gatekeeper for like budgeting or any of that stuff. I am actually an encourager, an enabler to tell them, spend the money on things that are important to you. If you're spending money on things that are not important to you, then that's a disconnect.
Gems.
There you go. Take that advice, y'all.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on the end of the show soon. What do you have any other, just like, what's the ultimate goal of your company? And like, what do you want to, why is it important to you to speak this? I want to say specifically to the Filipino culture, to the Filipino Americans. Like, why is it important to you to share this knowledge?
Yeah. Throughout my whole career, 15 plus years, I've worked with doctors, lawyers, dentists, very wealthy people. And my last firm, the account minimum to work with us was $1 million. Super high barrier to entry, right? And that's where the perception comes from, like, working with a financial planner, you have to be rich. And I want to just break that wall down. And I said, you don't have to be rich to work with a financial planner. You just have to want it, right? Yeah, and they'll work with you within your budget and whatever it is. It's like a two-way street. You know, I can't feed you, I can't take you and make you drink water. You have to come with me, and then we can go on that journey. So a couple years ago, I started my firm. I left corporate, and I said, I need to start my own firm for people that look like me, Filipinos, underserved communities, underrepresented communities, my females, and all that. And I want to provide all my wealth knowledge that I learned from all these wealthy peoples to us, because now we are the generation that is going to take everything that they earned and give it to our kids. So it's extremely important that I created it, because there's no other firms out there that is doing what I'm doing.
Love that. Representation.
There we go.
It matters.
There we go. Awesome. And with that being said, we really want to thank you, John, for coming onto this show.
Thank you for having me.
For everyone listening that would like to follow you, go ahead and drop your company, drop your social media handles and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Layari, Layari.co. On Instagram, it's layari.financial, and Facebook is layari.financial too.
Boom.
Wonderful.
There you have it.
We really hope you guys took something away from this episode. I feel highly educated and also very inspired to like really take hold of, you know, my spending, and actually maybe you and I can talk a little bit later about my goals.
Exactly. This won't be the last of our conversation for sure.
I'm here to help.
Thank you so much for being on our show. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank you for opening up.
I'm sure it won't be the last too. We'll have you come on maybe like every so often. And what's the update? What's the
and
scoop?
I just wanted to congratulate you two, because you guys opened up, you were vulnerable, you shared your personal situation, and it does take a lot of courage, right? And that's the first step.
Mm-hmm. True.
I'm on that step
Thank
one.
you.
Here's the step two.
Hi, my name is Hazel. I'm a big spender. Exactly. Well, thank you, John. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media at the.millennials.
That's right. And you can catch our shows on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as well. And don't forget exclusive footage on tracklife.com.
Yeah. I'm Hazel Joy.
And I'm Lindsay Does It. And we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Bye.